Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to Discussionverse, where I talk about all things that are movies, comics, TV series, and video games. In today's video, I just wanted to go over some of the Deadpool 3 news that we've been getting lately. It's still kind of a little far out. We're expecting to see filming at least starting the end of this year maybe it's 2023, 2024 release, but that's all a speculation. There are some actual concrete details that we have about Deadpool 3, and I just want to talk about that and just give you guys that information. But Deadpool in the MCU, that's probably like the coolest thing that we could have gotten out of the Fox deal. I mean, of course, there are other things that we got out of the Fox deal, such as the Fantastic Four, of course, Nihilus, Skrulls, stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. But I think Deadpool 3 really was the cherry on top. And if that's not even enough, they have confirmed that Deadpool will remain rated R even in the MCU, even with Disney behind them as the production studio. So, that's really awesome. I believe that they have faith in the writers to make it so that it works within the confines of, being acceptable on a mainstream, so that way it doesn't push too far with some of the jokes. I mean, they're obviously not going to let some of the jokes get too crazy, but it's good that they're not going to get rid of that R rating, because then that means that the project very much will still be aimed towards adults, and some of the jokes will still be aimed towards adults. So that's a good thing. And you'll still be able to take your kid who to see this movie. It's not a big deal. They're not going to put anything that's too controversial in this film, that way that there's no exclusions. So definitely all good signs for this film. It doesn't mean it's going to be watered down by any means. And of course, the writers and director will have creative freedom with this film, much like they had with Deadpool 1 and 2. So that's a big relief, at least for me as a fan of Deadpool and the R rating that it achieved, because it just enhances the film so much. I mean, that's a character that you can't really try to make PG or PG-13. He's the merc with the mouth, so you can't do something like that. And I'm glad that Disney and Kevin Feige and the rest of the people that are in Marvel Studios realize that. So that's awesome. And if you didn't know by now, the reason why that this is even possible is just because Fox did an edit called Once Upon a Deadpool, and that was kind of a tester for the audience and to kind of see how they could use Deadpool within the MCU, because Disney and Marvel Studios were watching that one very closely to see how it would work and how it could, keep the audience still retained without losing them because of the rating. But I mean, they're still going with that R rating. So I think, if you look at Once Upon a Deadpool and you kind of see that film, and then you get a feel for a lot of the R ratedness that happens in Deadpool 1 and 2, you could kind of get an idea of how Deadpool 3 might, end up being. And that's a cool thing, because, I mean, again, it's not going to be watered down. And of course, we had Wendy and Lizzie Molyneux. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that last name right. I'm so sorry if I am. But anyways, you might know them as some of the writers for Bob's Burgers. They did a lot of episodes for that great animated show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. And a lot of the jokes are very adult themed. A lot of the plots and stuff like that, there's a lot of adult stuff going on, but it is, aimed as a family kids show. Much like The Simpsons, where some of the episodes, do kind of go more in the adult territory, but, a lot of kids won't pick up on that, but you as an adult, maybe your teen who's aware of these things will pick up on that. So it's kind of in that light, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. So the Molyneux sisters wrote a draft, which is going to be used as kind of like, I guess, a skeleton for Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. They're the original writers for Deadpool 1 and 2. They're returning to do the screenplay. So they're going to do that based off of the draft that the sisters have submitted for this film, and kind of tweak it to their liking and, just kind of fine tune it essentially. And then Sean Levy is actually going to come in as director. That was recently announced. You guys know him for the Adam Project and his work on Stranger Things as the director for a majority of their episodes. And I think that guy is a very great talent to bring aboard, and I think he really understands this project, and I think he really jives really well with Ryan Reynolds. So that's a big plus for sure. And the only other bit of concrete details we have is that the lady who plays Blind Al in Deadpool 1 and 2 has been confirmed to come back for this film. So that's also another huge plus for this movie. Recently, both Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick were on a Bros Bible After Credits podcast, is what it's called, and they kind of commented on what we can expect from Deadpool 3. They talked about how it's a wonderful opportunity for a fish out of water film where most everyone else sees Deadpool as this lunatic in a kind of very sane butter world, and we're going to see that perspective and how that works. So that kind of is a little tease. It's not too much, but I mean, it's a nugget, right? And that's what we have to take. So that alone is kind of promising because it's a huge sandbox for Deadpool to plan, and a lot of jokes that can be pulled about all the films and all the other stuff that has been going on. You know, he breaks the fourth wall. So I mean, expect comments about the whole recent Fox merger, the recent, you know, Sony Morbius memes and stuff like that. I mean, we could definitely see a lot of jokes that play on these things, and I think that's a pretty exciting thing to look forward to. And you know, as far as how Deadpool 3 will further the overall MCU phases is also a big topic of discussion, because where that falls in terms of the phase, if I'm not mistaken, that falls within phase 4. If not, then it will be in phase 5, which caps off with Blade with Mahershala Ali. So again, a lot of opportunities, a lot of room for, you know, multiple avenues for this character that has been brought to life so wonderfully by Ryan Reynolds. So yeah, nothing but, you know, good vibes coming from the film itself, the writers that are attached to it, of course Sean Levy as the director, and you know, the very fact that we're getting the R rating, I think is a big, you know, inside look as to how Disney and Marvel Studios are viewing some of these properties, and they're really not being held back by, you know, some of the things that hindered them before. Now they understand that the audiences can still watch these films even if they are R rated, and that they don't necessarily mean that it can't be watched or it can't be a part of the overall, you know, cinematic universe essentially. So I think that's a big plus, guys, and I really want to know what you guys think about this, because I feel like this is one of my most anticipated projects to see within the MCU right now currently. So yeah, let me know down below in the comments. Of course, smash that like button, please. You know, definitely does help out. Of course, if you're new to the channel and you clicked on this video, thank you guys so much for clicking on the video. Definitely consider to subscribe. It's right there on the bottom right, and then turn on that notification bell so that way you guys never miss a new update. Until next time, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace!